What's up guys and welcome. This time we're going to be looking at a web novel that's quite a bit different from the last one. Well, not completely different. The title is a mouthful, so be ready. It's called The Story of a Man Who is Reincarnated as the shittiest guy in a doujin, but the heroine keeps on coming close to him. Before saying anything else, here's a summary for the web novel to get a better idea of what it's about. Suddenly, I remembered. This is the world of the erotic manga I had originally read, and that I myself am the one who plays the role of the man who steals the heroine away from the protagonist. I don't have that kind of taste, so please let the heroine get along with the protagonist. That's what I should have thought, so why the hell are you bothering me? Now, reading this, you would think it's about NTR, right? At least the novel itself mentions it many times. But this couldn't be any further from the truth. For those who don't know, NTR, according to the Urban Dictionary, NTR, or netorare, ne means sleep. In this case, the lover sleeping with someone, cheating. Torare is a noun coming from torareru, have something stolen, robbed. Now you would think somehow the protagonist of this story is going to rob the heroine, but that's completely wrong. This girl never dates anyone, so she can't exactly be stolen, can't she? I'm not going to lie and claim that I know NTR, as I've never really read or watched anything that is themed around it. But I know of it because of all the people in comments mentioning and avoiding it. From those few comments, you can see how it's generally viewed, and that makes sense, I guess. Cheating sucks, and it's especially aggravating when you must witness it and can't do anything about it. But I'm guessing that is also its appeal. Sounds similar to the old milkman trope we have here in the West.
Yeah, but men got lazy. They wanted that milk delivered right to the door. Only problem was the guy delivering that milk ended up f***ing your wife. Sure, you had your nice cold milk delivered right to your doorstep, but your wife was getting pounded out like a mallard duck.
But enough of that. This is actually far more vanilla than it sounds, as it's a slice of life web novel. This story also isn't smut, so there's no smut scenes here. So it's just a basic slice of life story. Well, kind of. If that's something you don't want to hear, then now's a chance to leave, but as for everyone else, let's get into the plot. Bit of something here, but the original translators for this web novel seem to have taken down their site and moved to Story Seedling. So try reading it there if you can. It just sucks that this site has encryption that makes the words unreadable by switching to reading mode. That's the way I get time to read these novels, so it sucks when I have to physically sit down and read only in my spare time. Well, enough of this little rant, so moving on to the plot. The story begins with the introduction of the main character, Shishido Ryuichi. He immediately regains memories of living in another world. Yup, this came right away in one of those stories again. But his whole life, he's lived as a Ryuichi and doesn't care for who he used to be. Anyways, he recalls the world he's currently living in is a manga in the netorare genre. His character is supposed to steal the heroine from the protagonist of the story. She dislikes Ryuichi but sleeps with him because the genre is famous for giving heroines a dumb reason to do it apparently. He decides that he won't do what he's supposed to do in the manga, so off he goes and runs into a girl being harassed by some dude. He helps her and surprise, surprise, it's the main heroine, Rindo Shizuna. He goes back home and eats until Yomi Chisa comes to his house. She's a college student and the MC's friend with benefits. I'm going to call Ryuichi the MC as his name is kind of annoying to pronounce all the time. She immediately picks up on his change but doesn't care as she likes him better as he currently is. She had met him at a club and had a one-night stand, but she truly seemed to like him. So off he goes to school after breakfast, and Shizuna greets and thanks him that morning for helping her. The dude hates NTR, so the MC is still thinking to himself not to get involved with the characters as he knows what he was originally supposed to do. Later, the MC notices the original story's protagonist keeps staring at him. Guesses it's probably because Shizuna went to talk to him. The original protagonist is named Shinozaki Sohei. He looks average, which is apparently what most protagonists look like in the NTR genre. MC thinks of what's supposed to happen as it's before summer vacation and he was supposed to sleep with Shizuna throughout the summer. After this period, she changes her look into looking like a delinquent. Of course, it's only really possible because she and Sohei haven't started dating yet. Next, the MC's friend Fushimi Makoto is introduced. This guy's actually smart but prefers hanging out with outcasts instead. He asks the MC if he slept with Shizuna and gets a no. Makoto also invites the MC to a party at a club but declines as he explains he's trying to change himself. This guy is also one of the ones that notices the MC has changed and also prefers how he is now, just like Chiza said before. So the MC fell asleep in class and woke up when everyone was gone. He sees how dirty the vase water is and changes it and runs into Shizuna. She's amazed as he's acting different from his previous self. So she decided to walk and talk to him and mentions he's different from the rumors, to which he says the rumors aren't wrong. She disagrees with that. This is the author using one of those tropes where the nice heroine of a manga is nice to everyone, even the delinquents. So I appreciate the use here. The MC then does kabedon, which is this on the screen, to discourage her, but suddenly remembers Shizuna has masochistic tendencies. This is foreshadowing for later. A few days have passed since his past life memories have returned, and the only change is Shizuna greets him every day now. While walking around, he happens to hear Shizuna's friends ask her if the MC did something to her for her to try and talk to him more, but she defends him. He arrives to greet them and she's happy to see him. The MC begins to think of how in the manga, Shizuna hated him, but the current one is different already. So the MC mentions how he overheard them but isn't mad. That puts the friends a bit more at ease. Of course, he feels the original protagonist Sohei is watching him again, but he ignores it. So they talk more comfortably for a bit until they leave for class. After school, MC runs into Shizuna as they're buying groceries. She notices all he's buying is a bunch of cup ramen. She asks him why and he says he's been eating this for years as he lives alone and doesn't cook. I know the feeling here. Didn't really eat much outside of ramen and veggies in college myself. So she offers to make him dinner and he promptly refuses. So the true beginning of their story starts here, unbeknownst to either of them. Being a heroine, Shizuna didn't want to let him go alone, so him not wanting to be rough just let her come to his house. MC tells her his place is a mess, so not to be surprised, but this fails as he has bags of garbage laying around. That's actually something I never really understood about some people. Cleaning ain't that hard if you got a garbage can and aren't completely lazy. Anyways, Shizuna decides to help the MC clean his place before making anything. Afterwards, she uses the ingredients she bought to make their dinner. MC wants to get her to leave and asks if she's okay to stay longer, but Shizuna says she already called her mom to tell her she'll be gone for dinner. MC eats the food quickly and mentions he'll be jealous of her future husband. These corny lines are all over this web novel, so you're gonna have to get used to them if you decide to read it. So the MC tries to scare Shizuna again by taking her into his arms and saying he could do whatever he wants in his house. Too bad for him, as she doesn't seem to hate his actions. Or maybe not too bad. He already remembered she was a masochist, so this wouldn't do anything but make her attracted to him instead. Whatever. Releasing her, he mentions he's been with many women and she shouldn't be following a guy to his house as they could do whatever they want there. Shizuna is a heroine though, so she wants to come over again, but he refuses as he still wants to avoid following the original plot. She resorts to saying she could tell others he hugged her without permission, so he just gives in. Don't read too much into this, as it was done somewhat playfully. It's like those scenes in anime where the heroine forces her way into a character's life, but that character didn't really care too much to stop them. We get some Shizuna POV now, and she's already starting to have feelings for the MC. Her impression changed when he first helped her from harassment. Now she feels compelled to be there for him as she sees he's alone. Also thinks about how she liked when he embraced her because of his muscles and she knew he wasn't going to do anything. Her excitement hasn't died down yet, but she has yet to realize her feelings. Her mother Sakie comes home and jokes with her about who she was with as she's standing absent-minded. Now some quick backstory on Sakie is revealed. She is beautiful and a widow, but she rejected everyone that came after her. And Shizuna wonders if she's still sad about her father. I don't know if this is also a popular trope of NTR stories, but it seems like it wouldn't be, right? Shizuna goes to her room and begins to think of the MC. While doing that, she begins to fondle herself even if she doesn't understand why. She's interrupted by Sohei's call, and he asks her if the MC threatened her for her to keep talking to him. This angers her a bit and she ends the call quickly. She really wants to trust the MC as he showed her his good side. Back with the MC, he's having a dream where he encountered a beautiful woman while he was out. He takes her to a bar he frequents to get drinks. The manager there warns the woman that the MC only wants to sleep with her, and she says that's fine with her. So that's what happens, and after they introduce themselves to each other, her name is Sakie. He wakes up as he fell asleep in class with Makoto there. MC thinks to himself that Sakie might be Shizuna's mom, but laughs it off. This guy's just ignoring all the warning signs. Shizuna comes over and talks to him, making Makoto ask if something happened between them. They just brush it off, and Shizuna asks the MC if he's worried about rumors spreading involving them together, and he asks her the same. To which she asks her friends, and they just smile and wave at him. Once again, the MC notices Sohei staring at him, but he turns away once their eyes meet. The MC mentions that Sohei seems uncomfortable with Shizuna talking to him, but she only says why would he be if all they do is talk? Yup, she's that kind of heroine. We should know that though, as she isn't noticing her feelings just yet. Anyway, she gets the MC's phone number. First thing she does when she gets home is call him and ask if he's had dinner. She hopes he didn't just eat cup ramen, but it was. Come on, girl. Single broke guy diet there. Don't judge it. MC mentions she's like his mom, and she asks what was his mom like. MC just says he doesn't want to talk about it. He notices he prefers when Chiza or Shizuna are at his house. Shizuna then talks about food, and she gets the MC to let her come over to his house again someday later. While on the phone, Chiza arrives and he quickly ends the call. She's drunk and came after leaving a party she was at. Looking around, she wonders if a woman cleaned his room, and he says, yup, a classmate cleaned it. So she decides to spend the night there, and MC mentions how the guys at her university would be disappointed at how careless she was. She responded with, she may sleep around, but she still has standards with who that will be with. The MC is her only one right now. They go to sleep after Chiza asks him if he's okay. MC says he's fine and sleeps while cursing his parents in his head. Get used to this, by the way. The next day, Shizuna is walking to school and is gloomy because of the woman's voice she heard over the phone with the MC. Still, she doesn't know why it bothers her. So he comes up behind her and surprises her with a hug from behind. He asks her if she disliked his hug as she looks gloomy, so she lies at first but corrects herself and says she did dislike it. She explains men and women are different from children, so they shouldn't do that without permission. He apologizes and runs off to school. Shizuna then recalls how they grew up together as friends and their promise to marry once they become adults. She hopes he isn't too caught up in such a promise and wants him to find his true love someday. The MC shows up and she sees he's the same as usual and starts punching his chest in a similar way a cat would do. She's mad he doesn't automatically explain who she heard on the phone. He's confused, so they walk to school together and split up halfway there as it's school rules here. What I mean is, MC doesn't want rumors around him and Shizuna to spread just by walking together. Y'all know those cartoon high school rules. Before splitting up, she asks the MC about the woman she heard on the phone yesterday. MC explains it's Chiza and she asks if she's his girlfriend, to which he says nah. She's relieved but doesn't get why yet. Get used to this, as this is a manga world. There is no real world logic here. Once again, the MC hugs Shizuna to stop her from walking into someone as she spaces off. She finally heads off to school again and wishes she could stay together longer. Now it's Sohei's POV. His thoughts are on how he messed up by hugging Shizuna. He agrees with their point of them being older, but is still sad he got rejected. He then turns his thoughts to the MC and the rumors surrounding him and how Shizuna started talking to him. His best friend Yamamoto Toshiki asks if something is wrong, but he denies it. So Toshiki next asks what is going on with Shizuna and the MC. He thinks the MC threatened her. Sohei thinks so too, but then thinks about how Shizuna got mad on the phone and how she keeps defending the MC every time something negative is said about him. He sees the MC arrive and Shizuna goes to talk to him, looking all happy, making him think the rumors might not be true. His thoughts are interrupted by Toshiki, who asks him if he's going to let the MC steal Shizuno away from him. This makes Sohei finally start to realize he should have been more proactive. But he still decides to wait and see, cause that's been working great so far. I'm guessing this is what a standard NTR person is like, right? Are we supposed to feel bad about this? Because I don't really feel anything for this character and his decisions. I guess you would if you're introverted, but everybody else should probably not, right? You gotta try and get someone's attention before feeling like you lost them, no? Well, back with the MC, he goes to the roof of the school and Shizuno finds him there. He decides he'll go to his favorite bar and she invites herself along to make sure he doesn't drink alcohol. She calls her mom to let her know she's going out to eat. After the call, Sakie decides she'll go to the bar where she met a certain boy. Later that night, MC picks up Shizuno at her house and they head out. She gets a text from Sohei but ignores it. The MC is thinking about the original plot as they're walking. He just reiterates to himself that this is his life now and getting arrested is easy if he does criminal activities, as he was supposed to SA Shizuno. He decides to ask her what she would do in that type of situation and she says, call the police. At least we all hope she would. She flips the question on him and asks him if he would save her from that situation and he says yes. They arrive at the bar that's full and the manager warns Shizuno about the MC, but she says she trusts the MC. You know, the bar manager might be the best person in the web novel. The manager also seems to notice that the MC has changed. So the MC and Shizuno talk until they hear a woman arrive next to them, which turns out to be Sakie. MC realizes they really were mother and daughter, just like he thought. Obviously, the mother and daughter question each other while the MC realizes he's screwed if Shizuno finds out he slept with her mom. Sakie acts like she doesn't know the MC and asks to be introduced and is told all that has transpired between them. Shizuno then goes to the bathroom and Sakie snuggles up to the MC as compensation for keeping their little tryst a secret. He tells her he isn't dating Shizuno and she's far too vulnerable around him, to which she says only to someone she likes. They both realize it's only a matter of time till she realizes they know each other, but still decide to keep it a secret till then. I'm getting deja vu from the last novel. Granted, this isn't the first time. Shizuno comes back and Sakie leans into the MC as if she's drunk to tease her daughter. After some time they leave and Shizuno asks the MC if he's acquainted with her mother. She asks because they started calling each other by their first name as they kept talking. Man, she's kind of sharp in some instances, while oblivious in others.
Gee, and I thought you were stupid.
He says yeah, and she asks if they could start calling each other by their first name, and he says sure. The next day, the MC is worried if Sakie got a tongue lashing from Shizuno. Makoto sees him spacing off and correctly guesses he's having girl problems. So to unwind, the MC decides to go to a party later. Then Shizuno shows up and is happy now that the MC is starting to call her by her first name, even if he forgot at first. Makoto guesses something happened between them and again he's correct. Shizuno asks the MC for some time during lunch and she goes to join her other friends. The MC goes to the bathroom and Sohei calls out to him, but doesn't say anything and leaves. This is definitely the NTR part of the story that's still intact, but it's really not that bad. Anyways, at lunch, Shizuno asks if he slept with her mom, to which he admits it. Surprisingly, or maybe not because of the genre, she thanks him for making Sakie a bit more happy and asks if she's a woman he would sleep with. And of course, he says yes, and again, she's happy. Now some Shizuno POV happens, and she keeps thinking the MC telling her he does want to bang her. She's happy for her mother showing signs of finally moving on, but still feels jealous. And finally, she recognizes she might like him that night after the bar date. Seeing the MC walking in front of her, she tries to sneak up on him but fails. Now she starts to see her father in him and wants to be spoiled, so the MC ends up hugging with her. Back to the MC POV, he tells Makoto he decided not to party with him and Shizuno invites him to her house for dinner. She also suggests it's okay for him to be a bit more friendly with her mom. I'm chalking this up to the genre again, cause that's messed up selling your mom like that. This logic would only work if it's a world with different thought patterns from our own. They walk to Shizuna's house after meeting up, and the MC once again pulls her into his arms as she almost walks into something again. And again, the MC is thinking how everything has changed as Shizuna isn't disgusted by him like in the manga. They arrive, and not long after, Sohei arrives to ask Shizuna out to dinner. He's finally starting to be proactive, but she declines. He notices shoes at the entrance and asks if someone is there, and she tells him it doesn't matter. This prompts him to say she's changed, to which she denies and says they're just growing up. This conversation makes her gloomy, so the MC decides to hug her to make her cheer up, and she does. This heroine is starting to remind me of a cat. Are you sad? Come here. So Sakie arrives home, and Shizuna takes a bath while she prepares dinner. Sakie mentions to the MC she saw Sohei leaving and could guess what may have happened, but she won't say anything as Shizuna can decide what to do with her own life. Now Shizuna comes back and they eat dinner, and after, the MC decides to visit Shizuna's room after. Now comes the moment where she confesses to him she might like him, but admits she doesn't know how liking someone is supposed to feel. She wants to sleep with him and he agrees to do it. For a small moment, memories of his parents cursing at him flash by. After the deed, Shizuna decides she really likes the MC, but she does get confirmation that he's been with many women, but the MC likes her the best. The MC decides to tell her they should be friends with benefits. She agrees, but he knows it's a messed up relationship. This is an NTR world, so we're gonna have to let this slide. She hugs him and says he made a pained face during intercourse. Seems like he switched from a kind look to a condescending one multiple times. And this made her realize she doesn't know much about him as a person. Tells the MC she's there if he ever wants to talk about himself. So they sleep, and the MC dreams of his childhood. So now we get to see why he was the way he was. His father hated him for being born from his mom, and his mom hated him for being born. Reason being, she had affairs with many men and so lashed out at her family when it was discovered. This sounds like one of those Reddit made-up stories if I've ever seen one. Anyways, they died due to illness and his dad's family took him in. Not that they were happy with him, so they made him live alone, as they also knew what his mom did and sent him money every month. Off to school he goes and meets up with Shizuna. She's being more open about her feelings as she hugs him, and he's okay with it. He still thinks of what his mother said to him at times though. Back to some Shizuna POV, and it's with her remembering his annoyed face when she hugged him while walking to school. She correctly guesses it's because something in his past. She is really smart when it comes to analyzing the MC, but never for herself. At least not yet. I guess that's a manga heroine for you.
Yeah, you're one to talk, buddy.
She decides to just be there for him until he decides to open up to her. Her friend Asakura Yuhi teases her about the MC and tells her she thought she had a crush on Sohei. Shizuna denies it and says she only thought of him as a friend while it's different for the MC. So she goes to talk to the MC and rejects one of his friends that tries to touch her. He's joking, of course. After school, they go to the MC's house so she can cook dinner for him again. Their time is interrupted by Chiza as she introduces herself to Shizuna. Contrary to how some of us would probably think, they end up getting along right away. As they talk, Chiza says she changed after meeting the MC and hearing of his family, but doesn't go into detail. We should all know why that is. She also thinks Shizuna could rock a gyaru look. Here's an example of what a gyaru look is like. Chiza then decides to stay over at the MC's house. After dinner, the MC walks Shizuna home and she tells him about the gyaru look thing. With him knowing she ends up like that because he made her change herself, he tells her he likes her best the way she is, unless she only changes this temporarily. And she finally asks him about his family, and he tells her how his parents hated him, and so did his grandparents when they became his guardians. Wait, I just thought of how Chiza knew about his past, but Shizuna didn't. Doesn't that mean the MC trusts Chiza as much, if not more, than he does Shizuna? Anyways, they comfort each other for a bit and decide to go on a date. Now it's lunchtime sometime later, and the MC eats a bento made by Shizuna. While eating it, he decides he wants to get her something as thanks, and the next day, Shizuna arrives as a gyaru for their date so they can go anywhere without worrying about causing rumors. Now you would think it was Chisa that helped her with her look, but it was actually Saki that did it. Makes you wonder just what she was like when she was younger. So they go shopping and the MC thinks of how different Shizuna is from the manga. After they go to a club for a bit and Shizuna wants to see places the MC would hang out at, when they leave, they run into Sohei and his friends. Seeing him leaving a club, Sohei decides he's just like the rumors and is a terrible person. Shizuna is about to rebuke him, but the MC hugs her and drives them off. Her gyaru look must have really changed her a lot as Sohei never recognized her. After dinner, the MC walks Shizuna home. Some Shizuna POV again, and it's after they slept together after their date night. Sakie had shown up and joined them on approval from Shizuna. She finally realizes that she's a masochist and Sohei messages her warning her to stay away from the MC as he was with some random woman. She ignores it because it was her, and she's starting to see she no longer really cares about what Sohei may think. This is definitely where the NTR aspects are coming in again, but this is an NTR, not really. It just doesn't seem like it even if we're in Sohei's POV. Sometime later, the MC decides to go with Makoto to a party after his hiatus. Up until now, the MC's otherworld life has never come up or changed him in any significant way. This feels like a missed opportunity for the author. So, he had also gotten a choker for Shizuna, and no, he didn't do it because he likes to claim her or nothing like that. It was something she wanted. While they are talking, Makoto mentions if he did something to Sohei as he's glaring at him a lot. The MC doesn't care and he asks Shizuna about why he's like that. The reason turns out to be because she blew up at him for constantly bad-mouthing the MC. They walk home after school and they see Sohei talking to Sakie, so we can all pretty much guess he was trying to separate Shizuna and the MC. Too bad for Sohei as this makes Shizuna lose most of her goodwill towards him. The MC visits a club with his friends and runs into Chisa there. They end up hanging out and see some meek-looking chick being hit on by some dude. MC helps her out and brings her over to Chisa as she's scared of him too. Apparently his face is really scary. Her name is Shirasagi Satsuki and she's a freshman college student who only came here because her friend forced her to come. Chisa tells her the MC is only a high schooler and that makes her lose her fear of him. Reading this, I'm pretty sure we all want to tell her not to lose her fear of a younger guy. All dudes are stronger than her, whether young or old. So they warned her not to follow along and to be able to say no to people, otherwise someone will take advantage of her. Satsuki decides she wants to meet up again and Chisa walks her home. After leaving, the MC thinks he's heard of Satsuki named before. A holiday is coming up and the MC and Shizuna decide to go to his house, but are caught by Sohei as they're going. It's time to reveal their relationship because how could you not at this point? MC tells him that Shizuna's his woman and she pops up with a yes. I've read this phrase in so many web novels I'm starting to cringe at it. They argue for a bit and they leave after Shizuna tells Sohei she is the woman the MC was with at the club. MC then tells Shizuna that Sohei likes her and she says he was always just a friend. Again, some Shizuna POV here. She's getting obsessed with sleeping with the MC. She sleeps in dreams or literally sees the MC's past. She sees the abuse his mother put him through, which she stops. She hugs the kid MC and then wakes up. It's the last day off from holidays and Chisa and Satsuki come over to the MC's place to drink. Satsuki mentions how she now can say no to her friend who invites her to sketchy places. Chisa wants him to hug Satsuki as she mentions how his hugs feel reassuring, whatever that means. So he hugs her and tells her not to be defenseless and grabs her chest, but she doesn't pull away or tell him to stop. Satsuki tells the MC she wants to try sleeping with him. This is the second chick using him for experimenting. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Just FYI, I could be used for snoo-snoo.
He warns her that he has other women, but of course that doesn't matter to her. So they do it and the MC remembers she has a brother that goes to his school and is forgetting something again. Days after the holiday, rumors are now saying that the MC is threatening Shizuna. Naturally, they don't care, and the MC sees that Sohei is sad, but Shizuna isn't too concerned. He's got to pick himself up after all. Now this is the interesting part. The MC remembers having his usual trauma dream, only this time Shizuna shows up and protects him. Guess this means they share dreams now. So now, Shirasagi Akira, Satsuki's brother, is glaring at him. Reason being, when Satsuki got home after sleeping with the MC, she was confronted by Akira. The big reveal is how Akira has incestuous thoughts for his sister. In the manga, he wanted to dominate Satsuki and does after he gets jealous of how she treats Sohei when he visits. Wow, the NTR genre is really wild, isn't it? Akira confronts the MC after school. He asks Shizuna if she cares about Sohei being sad, and she says yes, but she can't do anything for him. It's something only he can accept and move on after all. Akira then asks the MC about his sister. At first, the MC didn't care about his feelings for his sister as he has a harem. It'll seem hypocritical if he says anything, but then recalls how Akira in the manga essays his sister. Akira gets heated during their talk and calls Satsuki his belonging, to which the MC says she's a person and treat her as such. Akira storms off in anger and the MC decides to call Satsuki to warn her Akira might try something. Next, the first Chiza POV with her at the club and she runs into Makoto. They start to talk about the MC and his change from using women. Makoto asks the thing we all probably are reading this, which is, how can she keep coming back to him if he used to be an a-hole? So she explains when they first slept together, she felt something was off. He would look at her with hatred at times, like he was seeing someone else instead of her. She decided to stay with him because he was an outcast just like her, and it was her first time meeting someone with this type of darkness, and wanted to watch over him. Now she realizes Shizuna was better at that role, like she was a heroine from a story. Ooh, fourth wall break. At Satsuki's place, Akira is shown trying to push her down, but she is able to put a stop to it, and she tells him she only sees him as a brother. Makes her scared to think that before her change, she might have let him do it. She then calls the MC to tell him she's alright and he's glad things changed, as she was a broken person in the manga. This incident prompts Satsuki to move out of her parents' house. Akira is now the one glaring at the MC during class, and Makoto makes fun of him for it. On the way back from the restroom, the MC witnesses a teacher asking Shizuna if she's being threatened by him, but she says no and defends him and his friends. She gives him the "he should at least try to help these kids" speech. After school, MC and Shizuna help an old lady with her fallen groceries, and she calls him a good boy. This has special meaning for our MC because of his past. Then they run into Sohei's mom. She asks Shizuna if she knows why Sohei is depressed, but she says she don't. They go to her house and have a threesome with her mom, and the MC is starting to fall for Shizuna, only this time it's him who doesn't know it. He leaves and starts feeling shitty once again until Shizuna comes out to hug him goodbye. He walks home and a woman tries to pick him up but fails, and he thinks of his parents while seeing a happy family walking by. If you aren't sick of this yet, then you will be, don't worry. This has an obvious purpose being inserted everywhere. It's the weekend and they all go to Satsuki's place and Shizuna finally meets her. I didn't even realize they hadn't met yet. They quickly become friends. They eat dinner and Chiza and Satsuki realize he likes Shizuna the most, so they get a little jealous. He asks Satsuki about Akira and she tells him she isn't answering his calls and didn't tell him where she lives until he cools off. Then his grandfather calls. He calls because the teacher that talked to Shizuna called him to report about the rumors surrounding him. The grandfather shit talks him about him being his mom's son, and Chiza shows up and takes the phone. Chiza tells him the MC is a good person that helps others even when his son never helped with raising him. This angers him, but she lets him know that Ryuichi is needed by them even if he isn't wanted by his family, and hangs up the phone. For the first time, he begins to cry because he has people that love him, like his friends with benefits or his friends.
Never thought I'd be crying in front of a female.
I said his real name because I figured at this point some of you might be sick of hearing MC. I'm still gonna use it though. The next day, the MC starts to worry about money as he thinks his grandparents will for sure cut him off. We also get confirmation from him that his other life knowledge didn't change him and only affected his outlook on life. This was always my biggest point of criticism for this novel, so at least we get some explanation of why he isn't more proactive in other things besides avoiding messing women up. Anyways, he's making a real change now and plans a trip with Shizuna. At school, the MC and Shizuna help a teacher named Somiya move some boxes. She's scared of him, but with Shizuna there, she can leave it to them so she can go to the hospital for her father. Apparently, she was one of the teachers that had talked to Shizuna and warned her about the MC. Why he wasn't just expelled, I'll never know. Somiya leaves and they finish moving the boxes. The nosy teacher from before shows up again and admits he called his grandfather. He also says he will talk to Shizuna's mother next. This is how this teacher spends his time, I guess. She gets mad, but the MC tells her to forget him and they leave. Now the morning walks between the two don't need to split up since, you know. The MC is sleepy as he got a job at the bar he frequents. He was even offered to stay at Shizuna's house as his new home, but he refused as he wants to earn his own income. The classroom also has changes as he's getting greetings from classmates as he enters. He's also getting picked for teams now, so it's all going good for him, and especially Shizuna, since others are acknowledging his good side. Well, besides Akira glaring at him all the time. Surprisingly, his grandparents still send him money after the phone call with Chiza. I'm guessing they realized he's still their son's kid, so even if he's a terrible person's spawn, he's also their son's last connection to the world after they pass on. Or I could just be talking out my ass and they just doing it because they are obligated by the law. From this point on, it's mostly slice of life stuff, so I'm going to list off stuff happening unless it's something important. So Shizuna gets a love letter, MC gets jealous, and they just mess around. Next, he eats dinner at Shizuna's, and the next day, MC doesn't go to school because he's sick. Shizuna nurses him and he goes to school the next day and meets the student council president as she wants to know why the MC changed. He calls her sexy and she blushes and runs off. Next, he works and Chiza mentions Shizuna will make a good wife, but he hasn't thought about marriage yet. He's worried Chiza and Sasuke will leave him. What an a-hole and a spineless loser he's being at this point for wanting to keep them around instead of hoping for the best for them.
I thought you were bad! You ain't bad! You ain't nothing!
Anyways, Chiza says they won't leave. Next, MC and Shizuna go on a trip to see his parents' grave. They run into his grandparents there and they argue, but he does thank them for sending money. Once again, after sleeping together, he mentions to Shizuna how she isn't the only woman he has and she's fine with it since he won't leave them. They finally officially start dating. During one of his class naps, MC dreams of being in the original manga world with Gyaru Shizuna. Eats dinner at Shizuna's place again after. This is an important point, so I'll stop listing for a little bit. One night while roaming the streets, he runs into Sohei, being harassed, so he helps him out. They end up talking and Sohei admits he didn't really seem to know Shizuna as she looks happy being with the MC. He invites Sohei to dinner and they go to the bar he works at. One of his female colleagues named Mihara comes over and Sohei gets embarrassed to look at her because of her attire. The MC has her keep Sohei company so he can relax a bit. No, I don't mean she sleeps with him. They just talk to relax.
They're just talking. They're just talking. I hate you.
I hate you more!
Afterwards, Sohei says he still thinks places like that are inappropriate, but the people themselves are kind at least. With this, Sohei changes his perception on the MC and he dreams of his manga self telling his current self the MC stole Shizuna. This makes him realize how pathetic he was being and decides to accept things and move on. This is really nice. I've read other web novels where there was some type of NTR and the person that lost his loved one ends up miserable or dead. So it's nice to see a more mature approach to this scenario.
But you know what? But you... Throw some manly tears, okay? Throw some manly-ass tears right there that you looking at.
Granted, it's not for everyone, but I don't see Sohei as irredeemable, so he should get some type of happy ending. Well, back to listing off some more slice of life stuff. Tests are approaching, so the MC decides to study with Shizuna. Nosy teacher had contacted her mom, but Sakie told him not to bother them. Their group eat at Shizuna's house. Satsuki mentions her parents noticed Akira's irregularities, but they didn't do anything other than not telling him where she lives. No wonder their son is like this. He might be a predator when he grows up.
Hey, Randy. How's everything, buddy? Good to see you. Watch out for this guy.
Then the MC passes the test. So he is now friends with Shizuna and the MC, and she's happy to have him back. Later at work, the manager at the bar tells the MC he's happy he's changed, and he'll look out for him still. So he hangs out with the MC in class now as he's moved away a bit from Akira. Then Shizuna and the MC help two kids get their balloon out of a tree. Shizuna reminisces about how the MC separated her and Sohei and then reunited them. Next, Satsuki's neighbors are a couple and they see the MC and Satsuki together and think they're mismatched. As they're walking, they run into Akira and Satsuki finally tells him to stop seeing her as a woman. She doesn't see him as a brother because of it, and they leave. Now there's some Akira POV with him going home and yelling at his mom. He locks himself in his room and blames the MC for his feelings not reaching his sister. He's one of the only people who still hates the MC in their class. He still has thoughts of monopolizing Satsuki even when he knows his thoughts are wrong. You know what's even more wrong? Trying to SA a woman who you think can't say no to you. This guy will seriously grow up to be a predator. Well, he's a coward, so he won't do anything and he just cries in his room. Back with the MC and Satsuki, they run into the bar manager and his family eating out, and they join them. Next, the MC gets harassed by two seniors during summer vacation as he's helping prepare for the sports festival. They almost fight, but don't because witnesses are there. Shizuna starts to work alongside the MC at the bar. His co-workers ask him if he'll marry Shizuna, but again, he's non-committal. He sees the nosy teacher at the bar but doesn't bother with him. Next, the MC is hanging out with Makoto and Makoto tries to pick up a plain-looking girl, but he stops when she mentions she has a boyfriend. They run into Chiza and Satsuki and decide to hang out a bit and go their own way afterwards. Then, Shizuna and the MC go to the beach and he gets hit on, but he rejects the women. Next, the MC notices he's tired in the morning and thinks the manga world might be trying to kick him out. He's scared but just forgets about it. Now an important dream occurs and it's him seeing his otherworld self reading the original manga. He remembers living in that world and cries when he remembers he has a mother that loves him. He goes out and hugs her and she seems to know where he is as she says he finally remembers. She tells him she's happy he remembers his family there, but she also knows that once he wakes up, she will never see him again. They say goodbye and he wakes up to see Shizuna and Chiza. They declare their love again. This moment was really tragic if you think about it. He basically dies in his other life and his mother at least knew he was living well somewhere else.
Oh God, you're killing me. Oh God, you're killing me.
I get why the author never used his other life in context with the story, but it's still a missed opportunity. So all the women and the MC get together for a festival and talk about his changes. They go back to his apartment and sleep with him. He walks Shizuna and her mom home and he spots Makoto with the plain girl from before, but doesn't bother with them. He asks him about it at school and Makoto mentions her boyfriend cheated on her with her sister and ran into him, so they hung out. Holy shit, her sister is a complete bitch. Shizuna and MC have more fun at school together and Sohei tells MC he'll go to the bar. He shows up because of Mihara and they talk. Turns out Mihara had a younger brother who passed away and she might be seeing him in Sohei, so she takes care of him. Next, the sports festival starts and Akira has moved on from his obsession as he ignores Satsuki now. Remember, he's ignoring her and not the other way around. Mihara shows up to cheer Sohei on, and the MC sees he's moved on from liking Shizuna to liking Mihara now. Then the sports festival is over and they all eat at Sakie's house. Next, Shizuna is at karaoke with her friends, and one asks her if the women cheering for the MC at the sports festival were in a relationship with him, but she says they're important people to him. They split up after, and she runs into the MC and Sakie grocery shopping and joins them. A new teacher in training named Shingo arrives, and Shizuna mentions she doesn't know if the new teacher is a bad person inside, as she's not as naive as before. The MC tells Sohei to quit looking at Mihara's tits when he talks to her, as it's rude. Sohei's mom appears to have learned about Mihara and is on bad terms with him since then. I'm a little with the mom here on this one. Mihara is kind of a prostitute at the bar, so I guess Sohei's way more mature than me on this issue. MC then runs into Shinjo in the bathroom, and he mentions how he used to be a delinquent back in high school before he decided to become a teacher. Next, the MC walks Shizuna home after work, and she mentions how she dreams of herself as a Gyaru. He asks her what she thought of their dream selves, and she says they are probably both happy. He prefers this world, of course. Then a cultural festival is happening, and they will do a maid butler cafe. The most cliche thing to do at a cultural festival in Japanese media. He also finds out Shizuna's birthday and starts thinking of present ideas. He buys her a ring. He then invites Shizuna on a winter spa trip. So the cultural festival happens, and the MC stops a harassment moment from occurring there. The MC meets Shinjo while he's alone, and he tells him he was slightly jealous of the MC because he also had a girl in high school that tried to help him, but he rejected her help. He also mentions that teacher Somiya seemed to be into the MC a bit, but of course, she won't do anything to get with him as she's a teacher. After the festival, he goes over to Shizuna's place. On her birthday, the manager rented out a restaurant for them, and the MC gives her the ring as a promise for the future. Later, the MC tells Chisa and Satsuki he'll give them a gift too, but first comes Sakie. He wants to, as he changed because of all of them. He gets to reminiscing about how he took over a manga character and doesn't know the future now, that this part of the story is over. He says the title of the web novel as if it's the title of his story.
Oh, that's why they call it that.
And hopes they have a happy future. And that's the end. Aw, wasn't that nice? I'm not gonna lie, this really started to lose steam for me about halfway through. This really wasn't what I was expecting. Having NTR in the title, I thought it would be more focused on that, but it was more of a character-focused web novel. Now that's what I liked here, the fact that it was all just a slice of life story. There was barely any conflict here, and it was more about characters in a manga world turning into actual people. Well, as close to actual people as you can get in an NTR world, because this still turned out to be a harem. I also liked how the author gave Sohei a more bright future than others would do. I've read other web novels where a love rival ends up miserable because they couldn't forget their first love. Granted, in those novels, they are also made to be villains, but at least here, the author recognized it's just high school drama that'll pass with time. Unfortunately, that's also what makes this a bit boring if you're not into it. Most of the chapters was just the main characters thinking about stuff and doing things with their friends and falling in love. Perfect for those slice of life lovers, but with a slightly more mature main character. But that's also a detriment, as Ryuichi wasn't that interesting of a character to follow around. Things just came way too easy for him. I've left some of the instances where women became interested in him just from his looks, and it got boring seeing him not need to put in effort for it. Also, it was depressing seeing how his other world memories weren't used by him in any meaningful way. The author explained this away, saying Ryuichi didn't care too much for them, but then there was no point making this a transmigration web novel. We did get a bittersweet moment out of it, but I felt the author was just coming up with things to add after most of the conflicts were resolved. Something else I disliked about Ryuichi is that he has some cringe dialogue. Maybe it's because I'm a dude or I've read a lot of bad novels with this type of writing that it just makes me cringe. This is dialogue from when he rejects women at the beach. The person I have with me is a woman, and she's a wonderful girlfriend, much better than you three. This next one is when he sort of makes Shizuna his fiance. I will be there for you too, Shizuna, now and in the future. I will protect you as you stay by my side with your colors so they never become cloudy.
Oh, God, you're killing me. Oh, God, you're killing me.
Keep in mind that he's supposed to be a high school student and doesn't seem to talk like one at all, especially one that was a delinquent. He also says, aren't ya, so much, but I didn't want to have to read his dialogue to get more examples. I'm good with reading this once through. Last thing is, this didn't need to be a harem. I'm thinking in my head that someday down the line, everyone but Shizuna meets that one person that'll only look at them and they live happily ever after. This MC wasn't such a nice guy as he seemed to attempt to want to keep them around him forever, despite knowing it's wrong to do that. I'm hoping someone NTRs him, and that would make this a true NTR world then. This is one of those times I would recommend reading the manga instead. It's probably more interesting to see visual aids while reading this for most people anyways. Keep in mind the manga is actually 18 plus as they show them actually sleep together, unlike the novel. So maybe if you don't want to see that, then just read the novel or skip the explicit content. That's about it for this one. It's a good read once and fast, but nothing really special here. At least it was really good for me until it wasn't. Next time I hope to read something with a little more action or with more conflict at least. Gotta space out the type of things I read as I'm pretty busy at the moment. Something short would be good, so I'll go with that. Check you guys next time.